Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double Team Podcast Livestream edition. I'm your host, Steven Negishi, and with me, as always, from Awful Announcing, the associate editor, Ken Fang. Ken, thanks for doing this on a Saturday. I know you had one earlier this week with Anna Yurka, who we've had a few months ago. Another wonderful live stream that you did with Anna this time. And for those who are not familiar with Anna, we had her several months ago. She is a former, Univision reporter. Which one was it?
She was on Telemundo. She was
Telemundo. Yeah, thank you.
She worked several World Cups for the. She worked several World Cups. Let's just put it that way for Telemundo, both the men and the women's side. Also worked the Olympics. Hosted Sunday Night Football as well. So it's great to see her. And it's great to have her on.
Well, I'm sure you guys had a phenomenal chat, and obviously Anna was up until recently working with Fox covering Argentina side in the Copa America, and she's off to probably doing the Olympics, which is in a matter of
no, she's not doing the Olympics.
She's not doing the Olympics.
We talked about that. We talked about her not doing the Olympics, and she was said she'll miss it, but she'll be watching as a fan like everybody else.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying, and I hope if there's any Latin or Spanish speaker who is familiar with Anna's work, I hope you will go check it out. Not just the one that Ken did this past week, but also from the ones we did several months ago as well on our YouTube channel. We'll get to Copa America semifinal brawl and all that kind of stuff in a little bit in our show today. But our first topic we have to talk about is the U.S. Soccer Federation finally firing Gregg Berhalter. And I don't know how much of a conversation that you've had with Anna on this topic, Ken, but you and I obviously have been calling out Berhalter on this show for many, many times. And right. It finally happened, thank God. But I got to tell you, Ken, but I just feel that we wasted the valuable 2 years since the last World Cup. And the U.S. soccer's fiddling around and their whole hiring process of him in the first place, which involved his brother Jay being with the U.S. Soccer Federation in some sort of a capacity, which led to a nepotism hiring, where Berhalter certainly did not have the experience nor the credentials that was required for leading a U.S. soccer. I know we talk a lot about him getting out of the Qatar group, but certainly in his 6 years of tenure, Berhalter said we wanted to change the way the world sees the U.S. soccer, and unfortunately, and somewhat of an irony, Ken, I think he did it in a most negative possible way, and now the U.S. Soccer Federation is left to scramble to hire its next new manager before the September international matchups with Canada with Jesse Marsch, which we will get to about his outburst a little bit later on the show. But I want your take on Berhalter firing and how you feel about the 5 or 6 years that he was coaching and how you truly feel about it.
Well, I think it's really everyone talks about golden generation, and this is the best talent, the most talent of the team. And while that's all true and everything, yes. Berhalter got the absolute minimum out of the maximum. Well, if you're going to have the best talent, you have to show something for it. Yes, there were not UEFA. There were CONCACAF Nation League titles. And also I believe there was a Gold Cup title in his reign. But to be honest with you, it's the Gold Cup not the Gold Cup, but it's the major championships, like Copa America and the World Cup is how you're going to be measured, and that's a total failure. Okay, that's a total failure.
Mhm.
So, the United States has never really gotten out of the round of 16. Jurgen Klinsmann got there. We were very happy about that because we had never been in that area. You want to be above that. You want to get over to at least the quarterfinals or maybe a semifinal. We never got there.
That's the ultimate goal, and the U.S. has only been there one time in the 2002 Korea Japan World Cup, where they reached the quarterfinals.
Yes,
That was as far as they've been to in the recent tournaments, international. Yes.
Round of 16 is basically where the United States level has gone to, and then they plateaued there.
Right.
There's also during that time, we've seen the United States not get to a World Cup. That was not Gregg Berhalter's fault, though. That was not under his watch, but that was when he was basically brought in. So I have to say that Stephen, I did not like this era of Gregg Berhalter at all. He was not my favorite coach, manager. We saw basically the same thing. We've talked about it over and over again. I think we've done this show, 3 or 4 years, Stephen? We've talked about basically everything the same thing. We know that his MO is once you get the league is to sit on it and not attack. And we didn't see that at all. We didn't see anything else from his philosophy. Of course, he had the very unfortunate incident with Gio Reyna and his family, which got out of hand. I would thought that maybe that would have ended his reign, but the United States Soccer brought him back. The team apparently was a supporter of his. And I thought,
right, the players, yes.
And I fault the team for that. I fault the players for that as well. I get that you like a certain type of coach, and his style gets to you, and his style, it works for you. But when you get to a certain area and you don't get above it, you get to the round of 16, or you don't go past further sections in other competition, and you don't actually play, you play down to your level of competition, that's not playing very well. So I have to say, Stephen, that the last 5 years were a wasted opportunity by the United States, by U.S. Soccer. I know it may be a little harsh in what I'm saying, but I feel that that's basically it. The last 5 years were basically didn't raise above Jurgen Klinsmann, the Klinsmann era. I was not very happy with the Jurgen Klinsmann era, but at least I felt that Jurgen Klinsmann was trying to do something with our talent. Gregg Berhalter, I just felt did nothing. He was spinning his wheels. He didn't do anything. And we know that Jurgen Klopp is not going to come here. He's basically said no to that. We understand that. But if the U.S. Soccer wants to advance, they need someone with great organizational skills, someone who can develop talent, someone who can. He doesn't necessarily have to be a friend of the players. Coaches don't have to be friends with the players. Gregg Berhalter seems to be friends with the players. That's not what you want. You want a coach who is respected, but at the same time, I don't want to say instills fear. You know, that type of coach isn't necessarily works in this level anymore. Works in this era, but you want a coach that is respected and is giving the players something to strive for. And I never felt that Gregg Berhalter ever did that. I think Gregg Berhalter was just someone who was just there. He was a placeholder. He was just there he was a waste of space, to be honest with you. And I just really was not very impressed with him. On the other hand, the United States women were accomplishing things, and yes, they didn't do very well in the last World Cup, but they seem to be proactive in areas where the men were not. And I hope this will prompt U.S. Soccer, Matt Crocker, to do something other than just sit there and say, "Oh, I'm just going to have a meeting and I'm just going to do a conference and sit around and then maybe spin my wheels as well." Because right now I'm not impressed with Matt Crocker either, Steven. So I don't know. I can go on and on, but I'm just not impressed with what I've been seeing, and I want the United States Soccer Federation, U.S. Soccer, to do something and do it right. They seem to do right around the United States. I mean, they seem to have gotten a very good coach right now for the women. I want to see something like that for the men and get to the next level because I haven't seen it yet.
No, you said it very well, eloquently. You know, the U.S. Women's side have always pulled the weight, despite the the sexism and the fight for equality and equal pay. That's kind of plagued and dodged the soccer federation for many years under former President Sunil Gulati. And even the current leadership under Cindy Cohn-Pardo doesn't seem to be all that well received with the general manager, J.T. Baston. And, you mentioned general football director, Matt Crocker, who, by the way, doesn't even, live in the stateside. He was seen attending, Euro games and obviously England advancing further. But, he was recently seen, I think it was yesterday at a women's national team, and then he's probably basically flying back to Germany to watch the England game, which is absolutely ridiculous that the guy of his magnitude doesn't seem to care much about the men's side, even though, ironically, he is actually the one that handles both the man and the woman. Mm-hmm. If he can't get, hire Emma Hayes as to somebody to lead the long haul of the women's side, then I want to see him do the same with the man's side. And as long as the problem, I don't have enough time to explain. Maybe we'll definitely bring in someone to explain the inner works of the U.S. Soccer Federation and the MLS. People like Don Garber, who is the longtime commissioner of MLS, sitting on the U.S. Soccer Federation board, basically wielding an influence, working and being a shill for the billionaire owners from the mediocre MLS, is controlling the men's side. And obviously that's what's happened with the hiring of Gregg Berhalter. And now there are reports out that the LAFC's Steven Cherundolo as one of the leading candidates out there that is being, mentioned by the propaganda journalists, so-called propaganda journalists like, Dag McIntyre, and even to a degree, Jeff Carlisle's of the world out there, which has not been well received. Some people have already hashtag no to Cherundolo. They have said the Cherundo no, the last two words as instead of L-O-N-O, as a rebuff to Cherundolo, even though he was a very good player when he was with the U.S. men's national team, having played in multiple World Cups in his past. And obviously, he's still very raw and young as a head coach, only been coaching LAFC for the last couple of years. And certainly that's not something that someone, I should say, who is ready to lead the U.S. soccer, because you're just basically replacing one Berhalter with another Berhalter, even though he might be a little bit more tactically smarter. But, from an international experience perspective, he is woefully lacking. And just like Berhalter was, the playing career of, in the international stage and coaching in an international level, that's a two different animal. Obviously, you can certainly draw from those experiences, but again, it's two different stories. There are, managers out there who are probably more deserving. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp was never going to happen. He was always going to take the sabbatical, even though the U.S. men's national job certainly would pay well, and there's a lot less pressure than, say, coaching Liverpool and other club teams. But it didn't happen. And I don't want the U.S. Soccer Federation into thinking that the fans are stupid, that, at least they, coached Klopp. He struck us out. He bluffed up. He rebuffed us. So now we have only U.S. soccer, U.S. coaches, or at least the coaches who are currently coaching in MLS who speaks English only, have basically shut down, Spanish-speaking coaches who are more well-experienced and who is more theory and more tactically advanced. They want to keep it to a good old boys network, which obviously has been a massive, massive problem that we see, not just in soccer, but also in every aspect of life in this country nowadays, politically and economically. So I think it's time for the fans. Certainly they've made their feelings known about Berhalter, wanting Berhalter out. The American Outlaws have certainly made it their feelings known. And it shouldn't stop there. We need to have a competent coach like Hervé Renard, who is currently coaching the French women's team in the upcoming Olympics, but his contract will certainly be up. He's the coach who coached the Saudi Arabia national team that beat the Argentina, shockingly. Which, by the way, Argentina went on to win the rest of the remaining games and win the World Cup, which is shocking. So, Hervé Renard, Joachim Low, who won the World Cup with Germany 10 years ago. He's unfortunately someone that is known for, scratching his butt and then sniffing and that kind of stuff that's been seen, while he was on the sidelines. So I don't know how that's going to be received, but that should not preclude anybody from, being a candidate. Certainly, there are a lot of more qualified candidates out there than the Steve Cherundolos of the world. So this is a huge moment in time where, if this showing at Copa America is a prelude to what we can expect in 2 years from now, with the players being coddled and obviously by Berhalter, and Berhalter himself has long been a guy, had a problem with the domestic violence accusations against then girlfriend, now his wife, which he admitted it, and yet somehow in a very, very suspicious circumstances, he was brought back. Matt Crocker, being a British guy, obviously not somebody who is, an American, and certainly, you were brought on from, England to, be somewhat of an independent from the, the U.S. Soccer Federation mediocrity and cronyism. This is a big moment in time. If he fails, then, he's out of the door. We wasted not just with Berhalter, but we also wasted with the, somebody who is barely doesn't have a knowledge of the U.S. soccer on the men's side, and certainly men's side has long been slept upon, always been somewhat mediocre, and this was an opportunity to change the perception. But right now, the way the things are going, I just hope that we should probably expect the worst and hope for the best. And that's just the path that the U.S. soccer is unfortunately quite content taking with the current step and the situation that is being played out, even after fans' voice dismissal led to the dismissal, I should say, of Gregg Berhalter.
Well, we saw what happened in Copa America, Steven. I told you that I felt that the United States would not get out of the group. You thought they would. And it happened that I based it on my feelings that the United States just did not play well, especially in the two friendlies leading up to Copa America. They just played horribly against Colombia. They quit against Colombia. They played a little bit better against a Brazilian team, and we saw how Brazil basically fell out of the Copa America as well. But Colombia, that was a warning sign. That was a really big warning sign. And when you're expected, yes. I totally understand you're not going to win every friendly. I get that, but you have to play well. You've got to play as if you're going to be the whole thing about a friendly in a pre Copa America tournament. And of course, like the women are playing right now, they're pre-Olympic friendlies. They're taking on Mexico right now as we speak. They're going to be playing. They have a whole tour. The whole thing is to get better, is to get your team to gel. We did not see that against Colombia and Brazil for the men in the pre-Copa America friendlies that they played. They just played terribly.
Yeah.
So I just think that you're just going to have to the U.S. soccer has to learn from this. They have to find like I said, a better coach, a better manager, a guy who has skills, a guy who can develop talent. I gave as much as I criticize Jurgen Klinsmann for constantly going into Germany, he was getting talent. He was getting players who could play. And that's
pushing players to greater heights by leaving MLS and go challenge themselves overseas. Yes. And that certainly did not sit well with the segments of the likes of Don Garbers of the world, who only cares about MLS and protecting the interest in the domestic leagues. Certainly by eliminating rules and made rule changes only to favor MLS. But I apologize for interrupting.
That's okay. That's fine. I was looking back at the Jurgen Klinsmann era, I just think that at least he was trying to develop talent for the next World Cup. He was trying to get players in. And I didn't see that with Gregg Berhalter. I didn't see him trying to do that. I didn't see him try to go out and scout players. Maybe he did. But I just didn't see that proactive effort that I saw from Jurgen Klinsmann. And like I said, as much as I was a critic of Jurgen Klinsmann, at least he was trying to do something. And yes, the team finally, unfortunately, fell backward after they did pretty well with him in his time as manager. But I will say this to you, Steven, Berhalter, as much as we have put up with this era, let us hope that U.S. soccer finally gets something. Now that they've got to, they said they want to get someone in by September. I don't want to hear that they go to the last minute and then finally find someone and settle. Okay, I want them to
right, and that settling is the guy that I mentioned, Steve Cherundolo from LAFC.
Yeah, I want them to make a full ass effort. Okay. I don't want, Jurgen Klopp is off the table. We understand that. Sure. That was a pipe dream. We understood that. We all said, let's go for the highest thing. Okay. That's not going to happen. But let's go for somebody who has experience on the international level. Anna Yurka and I discussed that on earlier this week. We said we don't want to necessarily get an MLS guy. Nothing against MLS, but we want to get somebody who has international experience. We want to get a person who knows what it's like to play who has either played or coached on the international level, who can organize, who can develop talent, who can also be able to organize and get friendlies together. No, that's not necessarily the manager's issue, is to organize those friendlies, but let's get on a better level instead of playing Trinidad and Tobago, instead of playing the Grenadines. We want someone who's going to at least try to schedule some friendlies in Europe. Want to schedule some of the best teams in Africa. You want to get better. You just don't want to stay on the level that we are basically in the last 5 years, Steven, has stayed stagnant. Okay. Everyone says, oh, the United States is getting better. They're number 11, ranked at number 11 in the world. Okay. They haven't played like it. They haven't played like they're ranked number 11 in the world. It's a paper tiger, basically what we're saying. It's a red herring. I want to be able to say, yes, we're number 11 and we're playing like it. I don't want to get laughed at by my European friends and go, United States, boy, your women's team is I'm intimidated. I know that they're going to be on the next level. It's tough. We have to get better. But as far as the men are concerned, they're laughing stock. And I'm tired of it. I want them to be respected, and I want them to go onto a level and say, hey, this is where we're going to be. The United States is coming. I don't want them necessarily. I want them to say, "Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for us. You're going to be tough to beat." That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear something like, "Oh, United States, you're just the same team. It's the same as it ever was," and I don't want to hear that anymore.
No, I totally agree. Again, the players deserve a lot of blame. You saw a guy like Weston McKennie, who looked like a linebacker out of shape. Despite the fact that he just completed a very good season at Juventus. You have certain segments of the players who were buddies like with Gregg Berhalter, like you said, and that did not sit well with me because it seems as though a lot of these players, with all due respect, treated the playing for the USMN team as if there was like traveling back to the United States on a like on vacation mode, and
Right.
that Berhalter has enabled and coddled them. And this is the reason why we never really fully advanced, because they were never held accountable. They're being held accountable, playing for the club teams, like AC Milan, Chelsea's, and certainly in a tougher league where promotions and relegations they're fighting for to stay alive in the league or fight to being relegated. Certainly there are fan pressures and certainly the media pressure on a regular basis when you're not playing well. And then you come to the U.S. where they're being coddled by a coach, and the U.S. media, which doesn't take soccer all that seriously, even the soccer and both the mainstream media, on occasionally when they talk about it, they certainly don't treat it like as if they know a lot about it, and they don't care much about it. So it's a lot of things that's certainly that hasn't been working out. The players, the coaches, and the media that hasn't really done its job in calling out the Berhalter for its 6 years of incompetency, as well as the U.S. Soccer Federation. Hell, listen, they haven't even had a press conference about the firing of Berhalter, and they haven't even explained it. And then the next time they're going to have a press conference, they're going to only do it when they hire the next manager, and then we're going to pretend that Berhalter never even existed, even though they're giving him a love, all kinds of love and stuff like that, which kind of makes me sick. With the way that the federation and the media certainly in cahoots, and the media, certain segments of the media people, like I said, Doug McIntyre's and Jeff Carlisle's of the world, being somewhat of a propagandist, as well as the others who cover MLS somewhat in a more of a favorable manners these days. Certainly, there needs to be more accountability, both in the within the soccer federation, as well as also on the field, with the coaches and the players. Because 2 years from now, obviously the World Cup is going to be over, and we want the U.S. to advance further. You want the man to be just as good as women, because obviously women, despite all the shit that they had to deal with on and off the pitch, they have to, they have been, the driving force for the U.S. soccer, and a man has to start pulling their weight, and they also need to be held in the same level of accountability as the women had to been for the last 10, 15 years, while they dealt with all kinds of problems on and off the pitch. So we're going to move on here. Certainly, we've been treated with the great soccer, Copa America and Euro, and we'll get to the final predictions toward the end of our show. But we have to talk about the brawl that took place on the semifinal between Uruguay and Columbia in Charlotte. It was unfortunately a black eye to the city, which obviously certainly should not be tarnishing the city of Charlotte like some people are.
I wouldn't put that on the city of Charlotte. I have to put that on CONMEBOL, and the fact that they didn't hire the right security, and also putting the Uruguayan families near the Colombian fans, and that was just inexcusable, Steven. They were getting taunted, and that led the Uruguayan players to go into the stands to protect their families. I totally fault the. I have to say that they didn't put the right amount of security people in the stands, and that's the result that you see there. The Uruguayans going to try and basically fend off the Colombian fans. Now, granted, you get CONMEBOL, you get these countries that don't like each other, you have these rivalries, but you don't put the families in the section of the fans. What has been done by leagues in the United States is that they have a section for families. They're away from the regular fans, and they're protected. They're protected. They have security around them, and they also say, "Hey, by the way, the rights holders, you can know where they are, but attention is usually not brought to where they are." Unfortunately, what CONMEBOL did was have the tickets for the Uruguayan families right in the middle of a section where the Colombian fans were, and you had to have these situations. That's a copyrighted thing, so be careful about that. So yeah, so the Uruguayan players went into the stands to basically protect their families, and you had to, and then that's the situation you saw there. I really this has been a poor tournament run by CONMEBOL, Steven. I know people have been blaming U.S. Soccer. This is not U.S. Soccer's tournament. This is not CONCACAF, even though CONCACAF and CONMEBOL are jointly involved in this. This is CONMEBOL's baby. They have been running this tournament. The pitch has been terrible. The qualities of the pitches, whether it be a MetLife Stadium or other places, have been absolutely terrible. We saw the angles in Kansas City look absolutely awful by the rights holders. So I just by the people hired by CONMEBOL to run to show the world feed. So I'm just this is just one of those things. People say, "Oh, this is a danger thing," but no, FIFA is going to run the World Cup. They're going to run as much as we criticize FIFA. They'll run a better tournament. But the fact is, Steven, we saw prices too expensive. We saw parking that's way out of hand. We saw bad security.
Price gouging, yeah.
Yeah, we saw all types of bad types of things by by Copa America. It has been run poorly, and as much as the soccer has been pretty decent on the pitch, off the field has been where CONMEBOL has been just sorely lacking. And it's been it's really been people have been saying how poorly CONMEBOL has been doing the Copa America throughout Argentina and other places where they run the tournament. Now the Americans are finally seeing how bad CONMEBOL is, especially running Copa America.
Right, and at least the good thing that came out of it is that people are speaking out and criticizing both CONMEBOL and the U.S. This is Marcel Bielsa, the Uruguayan coach, after the game. With he's speaking obviously in Spanish, but it does have English subtitles.
Yeah, you can put that full screen. And
porcentajes del periodismo que no agrede a determinados sectores que son responsables porque no les conviene económicamente. ¿Es verdad o es mentira? Lo que pasa es que usted no lo quiere decir por corporativismo. Yo lo tengo que decir, pero a mí me importa nada. A mí lo único que me importa que un tipo que ve que le están pegando a la madre, a la hermana, a la mujer, a un bebé, que hay un procedimiento para que eso no suceda, que hay un procedimiento para que si sucede haya una puerta de escape. ¿Me entiende? Yo tengo que contestar esta pregunta. Soy yo el que tiene que decir todo esto de esta manera. Y aparte de esto, usted lo sabe y me encantaría que lo diga, yo no sé las proporciones, pero sé que el periodismo responde a intereses que tienen que ver con los que administran el poder, que son los que reparten el dinero. Y usted lo sabe a eso. Y que se callan la boca según a qué parte del poder quieren favorecer o perjudicar. Usted sabe.
Well, say what you will about Bielsa. His nickname is El Loco for those who know Spanish, which means crazy. But he really went in deep and called out the people that we've been discussing about, the propaganda media members who doesn't really protect the interest of the billionaires and certain segments of people in power nowadays. And I'm very glad that people like Bielsa had the gumption to criticize. And I know some people out there are idiotically saying that, well, if he had won, I don't think if he had won the game, then we wouldn't be having this type of conversation. No, because it is idiotic to have a fan of an opposing team or an opposing players' families sitting in a Colombian. This isn't like some sort of things that we see in the U.S. where certain segments of fans being drunk and attacking opposing fans, or for example, Brittany Mahomes getting on with the fans from a press box or luxury box, embarrassing themselves. This is a significantly a lot more serious. And I do believe that CONMEBOL deserves 100% of the blame, but there also has to be some serious questions being asked about the U.S.'s role as a host. Certainly, with the Copa America and the World Cup coming up, if Copa America was like the pre-test for that World Cup 2 years from now, Ken, certainly the U.S. Failed miserably here with everything that is being said and done about the pitch, the pricing, the ticketing. A lot of empty seats on some certain games that was for non-popular teams playing in a football stadium that holds about 70,000 fans, and barely half of them was filled up and stuff like that. The U.S. soccer certainly is not without its fault, and they have a lot of explaining to do, because when the World Cup comes here in 2 years, certainly what we witnessed on that, the fans misbehaving, whether it's during the game or after the game, it doesn't matter. Whether it's inside the stadium or outside the stadium, it could happen. And when you consider countries like England with its infamous hooliganism, which obviously has been well documented, and it's also been somewhat been known that they've been, getting arrested, and they've also been touring it up in host country Germany in some capacity. Those things can happen here in America, and this is a huge warning sign for many host cities, the police and the municipalities leaders to take these opportunities very, very seriously, because it could happen in your city, especially when you're the host cities, and in a non-hosting cities like Charlotte. Certainly deserve a lot of praise, because it drew over 70,000 fans in a semifinal in a very, very, hotly contested game. Certainly was to elevate the city of Charlotte, but because of this unfortunate incident, somewhat it might have left a stain mark on the city. And obviously it's not their fault, but certainly it's a black eye to the city. And these things cannot happen.
Yeah, I blame CONMEBOL for this. I don't blame the city of Charlotte for that.
No, I'm not blaming Charlotte either. I'm just saying that it's an unfortunate incident that the city of Charlotte have to deal with.
Yeah, CONMEBOL should have known better. They can't sit that families near in a section with opposing fans. That I blame CONMEBOL for. But also you have to get more security there as well. I do have to say, Steven, that I expect better from an organization that knows the heated rivalries of their members, and they didn't do very well at all. So I do expect FIFA to run the World Cup better than CONMEBOL. The World Cup has generally, as much as we fault FIFA as an organization, they do run the World Cup quite well. I do think that the United States can learn something from this, and be aware that of the different factions and the teams that we've seen the great videos from Europe, especially with the Dutch and the Orange, the great scenes from that, and of course England as well, and the Scottish as well too. So I would love to see that type of atmosphere here. We just have to wait and see on that too.
And here's Jesse Marsch, the American coach now leading the Canadian national team, going off about the tournament and his experience of trying to be hired as the U.S. men's national coach.
Yeah, put that full screen, Steven, too.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole press conference, but I saw some of Marcelo's comments. I agree with certain things, and then I disagree with certain things. For me, this tournament has not been professional for me. There's too many gaps in the treatment, in the overall experience from a day-to-day perspective. I watched what happened after the match, and certainly I didn't know all the details, but certainly we wouldn't want anyone's families or any players' families to be put in harm's way. But I know if Team Canada, if our team would have responded like this, that there would be heavy sanctions because of the treatment that we received in this tournament the whole time. We've had our players be headbutted. We've had racial slurs thrown at our players live and through social media, and not just the situation with Moyes, but the entire tournament from opponents' fan bases and from whether it's live or in social media. We've been treated like second-class citizens, and in the entire time, I've challenged our team to stay disciplined and stay focused on our task at hand, and to make sure that we represent ourselves and our country, because in the end, that's what this is. This is about representing your nation. You're on the national team, and our players have held themselves to the highest level of integrity. We've played hard. We've played aggressive. We've often been accused by the opposing coach before the match as a play to the referees that we crossed the line and that we're overly aggressive. And yet, if you look at the CONCACAF teams and the treatment that they get in games, and the yellow cards per foul rate is way higher for every CONCACAF team. I watched the Uruguay-US game, and it was, for me, one of the most biased ref games against the United States that I've ever seen on their home soil. There's so many things I could say, but what I will again say is a big compliment to our team and to our focus and our discipline and our concentration to control what we can control. They've never crossed the line. They've never berated referees. They've never rolled around on the ground like children looking for calls and yellows from referees. They've held themselves with professional integrity and been an incredible representation of what it means to be a Canadian high-level athlete.
Now, say what you will about Marsch. Certainly, I'm going to also play this very important clip about his interest in the U.S. soccer head coach.
Go right ahead.
Kansas City in the fall. Which sideline?
Oh, sorry.
Will you be on?
Come on, man. I'm not leaving this job. I have no interest in the U.S. job. And to be fair, unless there's a big shift in the organization, I don't think that I'll ever have interest in that job in the future. So I'm really happy here. I couldn't be happier, actually, in terms of what it's like to work with the leaders in this organization and what it's like to work with this team.
Yeah, shots fired. But I will say this: it's very nice. It's very refreshing to see, between Bielsa and Marsch. You got to agree, Ken, that there are people out there who are who still have the gumption to call out people, even if it means that they take a hit professional reputation. But hey, listen, Marsch is coaching Canadian soccer team. Good for him. I think elevating Canada at a time when Mexico sucks international level wise. I think it would be a good time. It would be great for the U.S. soccer to, take the rivalry within their own region more seriously. Now that, hopefully Canada becomes, up to par with Mexico or even better moving forward. But I'm just really happy that, there are people out there who still make sure that, the leaders are being called out, and those who are, the journalists, whatever you want to call them, that, Bielsa called them, out for protecting the special interest and for profits, to take time and, to call these people out. I give them a lot of credit because I'm sure, as we've been saying, as poorly as Copa America has been run, certainly the statute of limits has certainly the limitations are being, and patience are being tested by these people.
Yeah, Steven, I agree. I have to say that I've been very impressed with with Jesse Marsch, the way he's handled himself during this tournament. I did say that I would have loved to have when Gregg Berhalter was in crisis, when the United States for a coach, I would have loved to have seen Jesse Marsch here, but that ship has sailed. I totally understand why he took the Canadian job. Some people felt it was him singing the Canadian national anthem during Copa America. That rubbed some people the wrong way, but hey, he's the coach he's the manager of Canada.
I don't understand that at all. Why?
Yeah. But you know what? I don't have a problem with that. He's a guy that he's if you're the coach and you're the coach of the national team, you have every right to sing that national anthem despite your nationality or your heritage. You are their coach. You are the national coach. Singing it is, if you're not, if it doesn't matter who you are, I don't mind that at all. I will have to say, Steven, that I'm impressed with Jesse Marsch, the way he handles things. Would I've liked to have seen him? Would I've liked to have seen him coach the United States? I would have loved to have seen it. I know that some people felt that his personality might rub people the wrong way, but hey, if that's the way that you coach, fine. You're not there to make friends, as we mentioned. Gregg Berhalter seemed to be running in Club Med in the U.S. national team locker room.
Thank you.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want vacations. I don't want it to seem like the United States is being pampered. If you're, I want the United States. Of course, I don't want to see, sweatshop conditions for players. I want them to be put in a situation where, are we going to see a situation like the 1980 men's hockey team hating Herb Brooks and uniting together to go against a guy who was a tyrant? We're not going to see that in this day and age. But you want to have a coach that is going to be there to protect the players when necessary, run hard practices, and be there and improve the level of the team. And that's what Jesse Marsch has done in his first few years at Canada, getting them to the semifinals. And tonight they're going to play the third place match tonight against tonight. So I give him a whole bunch of credit for getting Canada and elevating Canada. Now, is this where the swan song? Is this where they're going to be? Is this where the highest level is going to be? I don't know. But at the same time, Steven, he's on a honeymoon period with Canada. And if he continues to do well, God bless him. And I certainly hope that he continues well. And, maybe the United States, maybe down the line, if he sees some organizational changes, maybe he'll be becoming the coach, maybe down the line, sometime down the line. We'll have to wait and see. But if this is an audition for him to do that, I think he's doing very well.
Right. All right. Let's move on to another topic here. I'm going to use your website for this next article. The Big 12 Media Day took place recently. And Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy, who has provided fans with plenty of sound bites recently. Let's take a listen to the story about his star running back, Ollie Gordon, who was arrested, unfortunately, recently due to a DUI, and his take on the whole situation.
First, I thought, okay, when I looked it up on my phone, what would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma, it's 0.08. In Ollie was 0.1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought, really, 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying all the game. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've done that 1,000 times in my life. And I, it's fine. People get lucky. First, I thought, okay. So I looked it up on my phone. What would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma is 0.08, it only was 0.1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying what all I did. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life, and it's just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky. First, I thought, okay.
This is a very, very reckless things to say. And I'm bringing this up because recently Vikings rookie Kyrie Jackson was killed last week, unfortunately, by a drunk driver. And there's more tragedy to this story, unfortunately, because I think there was a story last night that there was a vigil held at his high school in Maryland, and then there were several shootings that claimed the life of people who was attending vigil, which is even more tragic on this case, Ken. And now I want your honest opinion. Did Mike Gundy outed himself, admitting to multiple DUIs in the past, and then that what do you think?
I really haven't been following this story, so I really can't answer that. I saw that he had been made some controversial comments, so I really can't comment on this story, Steven. So I'm just going to I'm going to have to defer to you on that.
Okay. But, in light of this tragic story, for those who haven't paid much attention, the Vikings rookie Kyrie Jackson and the 2 former college players were killed in a car crash last week. Was obviously the somebody who crashed into the car was DUI, and at a time when Ollie Gordon, I don't think he has been suspended for his DUI role, and then you have a coach that seemingly admitted that he did say that I've done it 1,000 times. He did say that, Ken, and that's obviously sounds very, very tone deaf, in my opinion, of the significance of the situation. And a football coach, certainly in charge of the lives of many, many young men. Obviously, he doesn't have time to keep an eye out on every one of them. He certainly doesn't have tracking devices for every player, whether they're in campus or off campus, during the game or outside of the game, outside the stadium. You can't be, certainly can't keep an eye out on them 24/7. But in light of this, DUI incidents, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who are watching this stream who unfortunately have lost their loved ones, friends to DUI, or God forbid, even, they've been arrested for DUIs themselves in the past, or have had, drinking problems in the past out there, who are certainly worked hard to, restore their own lives, or, have to live with the tragedies even to this date. And for Gundy to not take the not even considering suspending Gordon, even if it's only for one game against a lesser opponent, that doesn't certainly impact your entire 2024 schedule or season. I thought it was a poor choice of words, and for even Gundy to admitting about him doing thousands of times in the past, I thought was very, very disgusting, and that certainly brought an unfortunate attention to not just for Gundy and Gordon for himself, but also for Oklahoma State, because I don't know if these types of unwanted attention is warranted for at a time when the football season is just around the corner, and when everybody's excited, and the players are ready for the season to kick off, and it's certainly not exactly a type of a situation that you want to be associated with. But that's just me.
Yeah, we've seen coaches make controversial decisions, not suspending players when it comes to bad behavior. Again, I don't really know what's going on with Mike Gundy. I haven't been able to follow. I've been quite busy. I don't really know. I know he had said some things during the Big 12 media days. I'm not too familiar with the story, but coaches who just don't read the room correctly. We've seen it happen many a times, whether it's in the SEC or whether it's in the Big 12. They just don't. They think more about how the performance of the team rather than the performance of the player, and it's unfortunate. We've seen it happen time and time again. It's not going to change, but you just think that maybe once a coach would just understand that what a player does can affect the rest of his life. And certainly in a situation like that, suspending a player and making him learn a lesson would be the best way to go. But I guess Mike Gundy just feels that he rules a different way.
Absolutely. I just think that, Gundy's opening himself up to more, conversations about, his self-awareness, as well as him admitting to, DUIs that he's kind of gotten off in the past, or certainly maybe if, he probably gotten away many, many times because of who he is, as a coach, football coach, and maybe he's gotten off a little bit easier than others in the past. So there's a lot of questions in that regard as well. Maybe those stories could eventually come into light in the future, which certainly, again, an unwanted attention that school has to deal with. So I just hope that Gordon learns a massive lesson here, because he's simply too talented to do something like this on a regular basis when he's one of the top returning college football players in this upcoming year with huge NFL potential in the future. So you just hope that he doesn't ruin his life before he becomes make it to the NFL down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ken, let's kind of talk about let's kind of wrap it up here. The All Star Game is coming up this upcoming week, Tuesday on Fox. Certainly, there are a couple of Asian players well represented here. Certainly, Shohei Ohtani hit his 200 home run already. He will be one of the leading vote getters and will be leading off, I believe, where he has been since Mookie Betts went down with an injury. Among the other notable Asian players who will be represented in this one, Cleveland Guardians outfielder Steven Kwan, who has kind of been flirting with hitting 400 so far this year. Really good player, has not really gotten a lot of the attention that he deserves. Certainly playing for small market teams like Cleveland has not helped at all. But if he does hit, close to 400, I think a lot of people will certainly pay more attention. And then I don't know if he deserves to be called a rookie, but Shota Imanaga of the Cubs, one of the few bright spots on this otherwise a dismal Cubs season as a Cubs fan that I'm dealing with. He has been an incredible revelation for the Cubs and the major league so far this year. Well-deserved all-star selection. The only Cub to represent the team on All-Star. Hopefully he'll make a pitch as a second or third pitcher. Certainly there's a intrigue to watch. Paul Skeens, who has been a revelation since he got called up from the minor leagues by the Pirates, has been just lights out. National League manager Torey Lovullo of the Diamondbacks already said that he will be the starter. So probably pitch 2 innings at most and probably give ways. But very interesting to see how Skeens does. Certainly no pressure or no amount of attention seems undaunting to Skeens right now. And what are your takeaways from the All-Star game and then the home run contest where Shohei Ohtani is not even participating, yet people are kind of crapping on him for not even participating?
Well, it would have been nice to see him participate, but I think the new format is going to come in. ESPN announced a new format, it's basically elimination, kind of like a Final Four format. We'll see how that goes. ESPN is once again saying it's going to run 2 hours. I highly doubt that. It always runs 3 hours. I don't know why ESPN puts it that way. But I don't have a problem with Shohei Ohtani not participating in the home run contest. No matter who's in it, people watch. It's always one of the highest rated sporting events of the summer. It'll be fun to watch. I think the United States, not the United States. I think that, again, to me, the All Star Game, the precedence, the attention has gone down ever since we have this balanced interleague schedule. I've never been a fan of interleague play. I'd rather see like 2 or 3 weeks of interleague play rather than seeing what we're seeing now. It's caused the rivalries, and I know that as a Cubs fan, you'd rather see more of your division, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers than playing the mundane games against the Seattle Mariners. As a Red Sox fan, I'd like to see more Red Sox Yankees than I would than other National League teams play. That's just me, though. I know that Rob Manfred, who has been an absolute horror as commissioner, one of the worst commissioners of Major League Baseball, him along with Bud Selig, two of the worst commissioners ever in this game. And I know he'll point to attendance is up. He'll point to the fact that games are game times are reduced to some of the rule changes, and I give him credit for that. But as far as the All Star Game, it's just another event to me, Steven. It just to me. It used to be a big thing. I used to really love watching this as a kid. I used to be really anticipating it. But, to me, Wimbledon and the Copa America and the Euros have taken a little bit more precedence for me watching I'll watch the All-Star Game, but people will say, oh, it used to get 80 million people to watch, and they'll be lucky to get 9 million people on Tuesday because of the different television landscape that we're in. But I will say that it's always fun. As you mentioned, Paul Skeens will be there. There'll be a lot of cutaways to Olivia Dunn, his girlfriend, the LSU gymnast, kind of like Taylor Swift of the NFL with
Travis Kelce. Yeah,
Kelce. So that'll be a lot of cutaways by Fox to see Olivia Dunn, who is more famous for being a social media influencer than her role on the national champion LSU Tigers for the gymnast. I don't even think she was starting. I think she was on the bench. But anyway, Skeens will be doing great. I think it was great to see Tori Lovello call into the Dan Patrick show on Friday to tell Skeens that he will be the starter. It was great to watch that little scene. You can catch that on YouTube. So I think that's to see Skeens, I think will be fun to watch. Of course, he had a chance to pitch a no-hitter, but he was pulled because he was on a pitch count. Then the Pirates are trying to protect him. But I would have loved to have seen him try to go for the no-hitter, but I totally get where the Pirates were in that situation. Just the fact that he in such a short time gets to be the starter, I think is a great thing. And I think it's wonderful to watch. And I'll definitely be seeing him turning in the first couple of innings to see how he does.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in. Probably not the whole game, but just to see, Skeens pitch, Ohtani, certainly maybe 1 or 2 at bats when Imanaga takes the mound. Probably as a second or third pitcher after Skeens. I'll be paying more attention to those things, but overall, I think the ratings have been going down, unfortunately, steadily. Maybe that's just how the baseball has been for the last decade or so. Probably the landscape has certainly changed. Obviously with other sports taking precedence, like you said. Soccer on an international level this year. That certainly does not help. But I'll be very, very curious to see, what the game is and what kind of stars we're going to be out there seeing. All Star Game, and certainly we'll pay attention to home run derby a little bit later. Maybe catch a glimpse of it on highlights on YouTube or on X, certainly, and see who's going to win the home run derby on Monday. Let's wrap it up with the latest on the NBA negotiations. Ken, obviously this is something that's certainly your specialty, along with the those who are working for Awful Announcing. Certainly, it looks as though the negotiation is kind of wrapped up already.
Yeah, the contracts are formalized.
TNT still have the last ditch effort to try and match, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be happening at this rate, though. Right?
Yeah, on Friday, Andrew Marchand of the Athletic reported that the NBA had finalized their contracts with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon. So the whole thing is that ESPN and ABC have the A package. They're going to be paying, I believe, $2.7 billion a year. $2.6 billion a year to carry the finals through the entire 11-year contract. They'll have one conference final during that particular time, and they'll also reduce the number of regular season games that they'll have. They'll continue, I believe, they'll carry games on Saturday nights, which will be on ABC. They'll also carry games on Sunday afternoons, and the like. NBC will have the second package. They're going to pay $2.5 billion a year. They'll alternate one conference final every other year. And in addition to that, Steven, they're going to get the All Star Game every year. So they'll be paying $2.5 billion. They're going to have games on Sunday night after the NFL season. They're going to have games on Tuesday night streaming on Peacock. And one other night, no, Tuesday nights on NBC, but they'll have one night exclusively on Peacock. Amazon is going to have $1.8 billion per year. They're going to have the C package. They're going to be streaming games exclusively. They're going to have it on Wednesday and Friday nights. And I also believe Thursday night after NFL season, they will have one conference final alternating every year with NBC. They will also have the in-season tournament as well. This is the package that TNT is going to target. They're going to try and match and see if they can match. Adam Silver knows that he's going to get to litigation. TNT and Warner Brothers Discovery is going to try and sue if they aren't allowed to match. But it's really the fault of David Zaslav, who a couple of years ago said that maybe we don't need the NBA. That really pissed off Adam Silver, that pissed off the people at the NBA. And it looks like the TNT Sports, which goes back to 1984 and carrying the NBA, which originally was on TBS. And then when TNT was created in 1989, the NBA went there. We've had, Inside the NBA, which has been which has been one of the best shows in sports since 2000, when Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley all got together. And then in 2013, Shaquille O'Neal joined after he retired. It's been the best show in sports. That, along with College Game Day, are the two best studio shows in sports. It's because Charles Barkley is the personality, and Ernie Johnson allows the three analysts just to let them talk whatever they want to talk about. It's a loose running show. And it's basically been the template for Turner's other studio shows with the NHL and Major League Baseball, but it's unfortunately looking like it's going to come to an end in the 2024-25 season, Steven. It's, unfortunate to see, but business is business. And David Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers Discovery, has only himself to blame, because he basically fired a lot of people who were at the old Turner Sports, who had these great relationships with the NBA and would ensure that they would carry the NBA. He decided to nickel and dime on the B package. He didn't want to pay as much, and they're paying the price. They're probably going to get locked out unless the NBA somehow create a fourth package, which I highly doubt. So it looks like, again, ESPN, ABC will have the A package. They'll carry the NBA Finals for 11 seasons and one conference final for 10 of those 11 seasons. NBC has the B package, paying $2.5 billion a year. They'll be streaming, have a package on Peacock, but also games on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights during the NBA season. The NBA All Star Game throughout that entire time. I believe they're going to get five or six conference finals. And then Amazon paying $1.8 billion a year, carrying games on 2 nights a week on Thursday night after Thursday Night Football, at the in-season tournament, and 5 or 6 conference finals. So the NBA is getting more money. This is going to cause the NFL to open up its contract in 2029, Steven, and then the whole circus is going to start again. It'll be fun to watch, and I just have to say, and then you see Charles Barkley, he has announced during the NBA Finals he is retiring after next season, going to run which would probably be TNT's last year with the NBA. He's threatened retirement, I think, every year, ending in a number, and on days ending in Y. So we'll see if he's actually gonna actually retire. I take that with a grain of salt, because every time he said he's going to retire, he's not. So maybe I do believe that we will see him on Amazon, to be honest with you. I believe that Shaq, Penny, and Shaquille will all go to, as a package deal, go to Amazon, kind of like when Amazon took over NBC's crew for a lot of people who did Sunday Night Football, went to Thursday Night Football, and they got instant credibility. I think that's what Amazon's going to do with the NBA.
Well, here's Charles Barkley talking about the rights deal. Certainly with Peacock and Amazon and all that other streaming services involved, obviously it's been well documented with the football as well, the amount of money that people have to shell out just to watch the game. Charles Barkley, as we all know, has always been real. He's been real and honest and brutally honest and truthful about everything. Much like we saw with Marcel Bielsa and Jesse Marsch going off. I think that you got greedy players and greedy owners. They don't care. They don't really care about anything but how to make the most money possible, which is true. We should never put money above the regular fans. Everybody can't afford streaming. There's nothing wrong with streaming, but when you start just going to the highest bidder and you're not on regular television, I think you do a disservice to the fan. It's kind of funny, basically you can watch the all game and you have to have like a multiple services, and depending on where you are living, certainly much has been documented about the failure of Bally Sports network, the regional sports network that failed, and a lot of teams kind of been scrambling to find the ways to broadcast the games. And there are a lot of teams now signing a direct to consumer deals to allow the fans in that particular city to watch the game on a regular on-air TV. I know Dallas Stars, the NHL Dallas Stars, recently signed a new deal with a app called Victory Plus to broadcast their game locally, I think for free on a limited trial basis. So the way sports and the sports teams are, directly broadcasting the game to their fans locally and nationally, and also on a global level, it is becoming more and more fragmented and also becoming more diverse, but also, again, it becomes more and more costly nowadays. And certainly I don't think not too many people will be happy to, sign multiple different apps or streaming services. We kind of got rid of cable. I know a lot of people, jumped on the, cord cuttings, but it seems as though ironically just made it even a lot more expensive to watch sports nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll wrap it up after this. I will say that, to watch the NFL, you're going to need, in order to watch the upcoming season, you're going to need Peacock for the game in Brazil. You're going to need ESPN Plus to watch one Monday Night Football game. You're going to need Amazon, of course, to watch Thursday Night Football, YouTube TV if you want to watch the NFL Sunday Ticket, and and of course Netflix. So that's like 5 streaming services right there, and of course Amazon for one of the wild card playoff games. I know it's frustrating for the you want to be able to just turn on your TV and watch all the games right then and there. Amazon is going to be involved with the NBA coming up. They're also going to have a package of NASCAR races coming up next year. So this is where the future is coming. Now, would we like to see one place, a nonstop shopping? ESPN Plus wants to be that. They say, hey, look, and that's why we're getting this service of ESPN, Fox, and Turner Sports, TNT Sports, all getting together for their streaming to one streaming service. We have to I think the price of that streaming service is going to be like $39.99 a month, which is really expensive. But to get it's only going to have half of the NFL games, and if TNT doesn't have the NBA, you're just going to get 1/3 of the NBA package there, but you will get the NBA Finals. So we have to wait and see. I mean, streaming is one thing. Broadcast television, of course, is still going to be the main place to watch all the big events. But streaming is going to be there for a lot of the it's the future. So we have to wait and see. It's the wild, wild west right now, and until we find out, until things start to clear out over the next few years, Steven, in order to watch all the sports that you want, unfortunately, you're going to need all these streaming services, and we'll wait and see. Maybe, and of course, you have Apple with MLS, and they're also going to have the FIFA Club World Cup next season, with the United States being the host of that. So I understand it's expensive. Some of these streaming services are probably going to go by the wayside because they're not all of them are making money. I think Netflix is the only one that makes money. Disney Plus doesn't make money. They're all losing money. So until the networks figure it out, and all these media companies figure it out, and figure out what works and what doesn't work, right now that's where we're at. And I think that some of these services are going to have to merge in order for us to watch what we want.
Well, on that note, we're going to end our show this week. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see it on the down below as well. That's our YouTube channel. We're hoping to maybe revamp our channel, hopefully very, very soon for the upcoming football season as well. And you could also follow us on X, Twitter. As you can see on the screen right there. Ken also works for Awful Announcing as well. Please make sure to subscribe and also follow awfulannouncing.com for more interesting content on sports and media. Now, on behalf of Ken Fang, I am Steven Nagishi. Thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday afternoon.
One more thing. I forgot to mention, I am working on a guest for next Wednesday. I can't announce who it is as of yet. Hopefully, the person who I've asked says that they're willing to do it. We just need to get clearance from the network that person works for. So once we get that, look for an announcement. But I'm looking to do another live stream with another guest on Wednesday, 7:30, just like I did with having Rowdy Gaines 2 weeks ago of NBC, and Anna Yurka this past week. So look for that. I should have it. I should have an announcement coming soon. And when we get that guest, you'll know. Steven, I'll let Steven know. He'll announce it on his feed, and I will announce it on my feed. But I'll let you definitely know who that is going to be. Hopefully Monday. Hopefully when I get clearance from the network that we're trying to get a hold of. But I just want to let you know. Look for another guest, another live stream Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern time, right here on X and YouTube.
Outstanding. I'm working night shift, unfortunately, all of this month. So I will not be available for that live stream with the guests. Ken is working on. Obviously, Ken certainly has a lot of connections throughout the industry, having worked for Awful Announcing and also even well before then, working in TV and radio locally as well. So I hope you guys tune in, and whenever Ken, like he said, he gets a clearance from the network that this guest works for. I'll definitely make sure to ample, and then Ken will be doing a one-on-one live with that guest, like he has done the last 2 weeks, as he mentioned. All right, Ken, thank you very much for joining me once again. Thanks for the wonderful announcement. Thank you for bringing on the guests while I'm away, and I look forward to another nice episode with that guest. And I hope people can catch up on Rowdy Gaines, and Ana Yurka this week. I hope everybody will have a wonderful weekend. And one more thing, sorry. Let's make a quick prediction on the Copa and Euro. Okay. Euro, Spain 3-1 tomorrow.
I'm going to say it's coming home. I'm going to say England finally wins a hardware since 1966. I will say the game will be 1-1 in the 90th minute. There will be 7 minutes of stoppage time. Jude Bellingham kicks a goal in the 93rd minute. Then Spain will try in a furious try to come back, get a goal, but it will be England 2-1 over Spain. England will take it home. They'll take the European trophy home. Instead of you remember a few years ago, they tried to do this against Italy 2 years ago. They couldn't do it at home at Wembley. They will do it in Germany, in Berlin, in the Olympiastadion in Berlin on Sunday. So that's my prediction. Jude Bellingham kicks the goal in the 93rd minute for the England to win 2-1 over Spain.
Copa America, I'm going to go Argentina 2-1 over Colombia. What do you say?
I will say, and this will be actually a terrible thing by CONMEBOL to eliminate extra time until the finals. But I say, again, this will be a match that goes to extra time. This will be a 1-1 game. And I say that Colombia will get a winning
shootout penalty.
No, I say Colombia will win a shootout, not a shootout. I say in the second extra period, Colombia wins to upset Argentina and force Messi to go out, not a winner, but in his final Copa America to go out in the silver medalist position. So I say Colombia, and that's what caused Melissa Ortiz, who has been a absolute joy to watch on Fox Soccer Now, to go absolutely crazy in the Fox Soccer Now studio during the post game with Jimmy Conrad and Wes Morgan. So that's what I say. I say Colombia wins 2-1 in the second extra period in the 100th minute.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know we kind of let it drag on for closing. Thanks for sticking with us on this Saturday afternoon, everybody. I hope you will have a wonderful weekend, and then we look forward to having you on again. Next Wednesday, Ken will be with the guest, and then hopefully next Saturday, once again, me and Ken will be back again on a special edition of the Double Team regularly scheduled live stream together. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And my thanks to Ken for joining me once again. Thank you.